All right, well, it's great to see so many folks out today. This is always a very fun morning to hear so many different things that are happening across the province. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about a project that we're just wrapping up now, which has been a survey or an assessment of local sustainable food in Manitoba. And the purpose of this project, which was funded by the J.W. McConnell Foundation, they're out of Montreal, was to look across the country, in different parts of the country, and see what the local sustainable food economy is like, see what the challenges are that are preventing it from growing, and see also what opportunities there are within Manitoba to grow that economy. And there's many reasons to do that. Reasons for creating jobs, creating vibrant rural communities, environmental sustainability, farmer livelihoods, and so on. This just gives you a sense of sort of the scale of the project, and I know that there's several of you involved in local and sustainable food in the room, some of whom I talked to for this project, some of whom I didn't, but you can see that the pins on the map there are people that participated in the project, so they're coming from all across the province. One thing that we did is we did a survey over the last couple of years of local and sustainable farmers, and so there's a few key things from this I want to point out. One is that local sustainable farming, it seems, provides a lot of paths to entry into farming. 43% of our respondents said that they were within the first 3 years of farming. So it provides a lot of opportunities for people to get into farming, in part because it's less capital intensive, it's less land intensive. It also means that there's a lot of people who've been farming for a long time who are shifting towards local sustainable production. So there's both sort of opportunities for new entrants, but also for long-standing farmers to market in new ways. Stay on that one. There's also a lot of interest in selling to institutions, and only about a quarter of farmers that we surveyed said that they already did sell to institutions, but 90% said they wanted to. The challenge is that many of these are self-identified that they weren't ready to yet, and that's for a variety of reasons. For a lack of scale, needing more volume, needing more sort of transportation, processing, distributional capacity, and so on. Now we'll go to the next one. There is some good news. First of all, there is a growing demand. A few years ago here in Manitoba, we only had 4 community-supported agriculture farms. These are farms that sell food, sell shares in vegetable boxes to consumers who then collect these shares throughout the summer. Now there are 17, so an increase of 4 times over the last decade. There's a small, while our local sustainable food economy may seem small in some ways, it's also quite large if you look at it on a per capita basis. We are a small province. We shouldn't expect to have sort of as big of a local sustainable food economy as Ontario. Especially when we have 1.2 million people in Manitoba and there's 9 million people living in the Toronto greater Golden Horseshoe area. I mean, if you look at sort of those economies of scale, Manitoba has some disadvantages. But we do have a lot of participation in the local food economy per capita. There's a lot of passion and creativity that goes into our local food economy, and I think this is something to be cherished and to be valued and to be supported. And there's also a lot of youthful energy, and I'm talking both about sort of new farmers as well as farmers marketing in new ways. I'm going to talk quickly about some of the challenges, and in the report that we finished up, and it's going to be on our website in the next couple of days here, we outlined 9 key challenges. The first one, though, I'm going to talk about 3 or 4 today. One is distribution. In Manitoba, the average farmer lives 196 kilometers away from Winnipeg. So if you were a Winnipegger wanting to eat a 100-mile diet, you couldn't eat from your average Manitoba farmer, sort of geographically based. This means that there's a lot of challenges around distance, people transporting their food to market, because Manitoba is so concentrated in Winnipeg population-wise. There's only sort of one major population center to market to. There have been lots of really innovative ways to overcome distributional challenges, and there's people doing really great work around distribution. But this is one challenge that farmers did talk about. Talk about the challenge of sort of driving 200 kilometers into town and seeing their neighbor doing the same route through Winnipeg as they dropped off stuff throughout the city. talked about spending a lot of time doing distribution. But on the other hand, for many farmers, this is why they are doing this kind of farming in the first place. One farmer I talked to said he hadn't had a holiday since 1991, but his holiday every week was to come into town and to do his drop-offs and talk to his customers, and that's what his holiday was. So there's both sort of pros and cons to what on the outside may seem like an inefficient distribution system, but there's also a lot of human value that's built there as well. Processing on the maps here you see on the left, these are cattle abattoirs in Manitoba. On the right, you see these are chicken abattoirs, provincially inspected chicken abattoirs. There's very few in Manitoba. We'll go to the next slide. This is an interesting story here. This is a slide that shows cattle slaughter capacity in Manitoba since the 60s until now. It is down by 97% since its peak. Right now, we slaughter on average around 15,000 cattle in Manitoba every year. This is down from well over 500,000. So when we have things like the XL scare in Alberta, we do not have sort of a processing infrastructure here in Manitoba. It's also a challenge because many large grocery stores, many institutions require federally inspected products in their store. We only have provincially inspected capacity for beef, so we can't get it in there. Consumer awareness, this is a map of sort of how many times local food has come up in newspapers across the country. We can see that Winnipeg is amongst the lowest. Keep going. In Manitoba, 91% of consumers say that local food should cost less or cost the same amount as food from other places. And as we know, one of the main reasons why local sustainable works is because there's a premium there, so farmers can support a livelihood that is sufficient. So to close, I'll just say there's numerous ideas that have come out of this project, and we're looking right now to sort of solidify those ideas and move towards next steps. The report will be available on our website shortly. I also got a few copies here if you're interested. But we are looking for opportunities to build and support the local sustainable food economy, to build healthy communities, to build vibrant rural communities, to support our farmers, and to support the environment. I guess I'll leave it there.